Hashem that we're able to learn. And in this chus of our learning, we should have the Beis Hamikdash immediately. Should be a refuah shleima for Chilnas ben Sarah, Aaron David Alevi ben Menachem Lester, Avram Rafael ben Sarah, Asher Anshel ben Alevi, and Miriam Adel, and Sarah Basnini. Okay, we're going to start the new parak. This is Yud Gimel Amid Beis 13b on the bottom. It says, Ve'elam megalchem b'mayid. The following people are allowed to get a haircut. Megaleach means to shave, but in Lubavitch they won't let me say that it means to shave the beard. It means to take a haircut. Okay. Who's allowed to take a haircut? On Chol HaMoed. Obviously on Yom Tov, it's Aser. Yeah. Yeah. On the Chida wrote a book called Shem HaGedolim. In it, he has biographies, short little pieces about different sages. So he mentions the Moed Yehuda. And he says that the Moed Yehuda was a great man, even though he was mater shaving on Chol HaMoed. Nevertheless. Okay. So usually you're not allowed to take a haircut. But the following are Habami Medina Sayyam, someone that came from a trip, Mibesa Shivya, or he was let out of prison. Shivya is captivity. But Yetzim Beis Asurim, or someone that was let out of prison. What we're saying here is people that did not have the ability to take a haircut before Yom Tov. So they're allowed to take a haircut on Chol HaMoed. Menuda, someone that was in Chayrim. Sheitir Lei Chachamim, that the sages permitted the Chayrim. In other words, they took him out of it. Chayrim means excommunicated. Why would he be excommunicated? He didn't follow a judgment of some sort. He owes money and he doesn't want to pay. He's violating the court's decision. Or someone that took a vow. He's not going to take a haircut. And then he goes to the Chacham, the Rav. He says, annul the vow. So they annulled the vow, but it was already Yom Tov. It was already Chol HaMoed. I think you're allowed to annul a vow on Shabbos and Yom Tov. And so now he's allowed to take his haircut. He had a vow before. He couldn't do it before. Nazir, or someone that was a Nazir, that now it's over, and now he's able to take a haircut. V'amitzaira, or someone that has leprosy, it's missing a word here. That's becoming pure. And when he becomes pure, he takes a haircut. Okay, so we have a list of, 7 people that are allowed to take a haircut on Chol HaMoed. Ve'elu mechabsim b'mayed. The following are allowed to wash their clothes on Chol HaMoed. Abba Medina Sayyam, someone that comes from a trip, couldn't wash his clothes while he was traveling. Mibesa Shivya, from captivity. Vayetzim Beis Asurim, or he came out of prison. Menuda Sheitir Lei Chachamim, or someone that was in Chayrim, and the sages allowed him. They permitted him. Or someone that took a vow. Interesting vow. He wasn't going to do laundry. And yeah, we don't know the background to that. And then it was mataneder. Mitpachas hayadayim. Sounds like hand towels. Mitpachas hasaparim, or saf. This could mean either the towels that are used at a barber shop, or it could mean hasvarim, which are the cloths that go over a sefer. Mitpachas hasafag. Safag sounds like a sponge, but this is referring to, at least what I saw in Rabbeinu Hanano, or someone. I saw in my Ma'aseh Rashi, another Gemara, that's referring to bath towels from the bathhouse. And Hazavim Bazaves Vanides Vayeldes, these people that were Tameh. A Zav or a Zava or a Nida or a Yeledes, a woman that gave birth, any of those types of impurities that comes from different sorts of emissions. And anyone that becomes from Tumah Tara, these people are allowed to wash their clothes. Part of the purification process for these people is that they go to the mikveh and they wash their clothes. They have to wash their clothes. But everyone else is asur. Okay. Basically, Cholamayid, you're not allowed to take a haircut, you're not allowed to do laundry, and there are exceptions. Right. Exact science in those days. Getting freed from prison, we didn't have a choice. Right. But who's forced to take it? Right. We could have indulged that before yesterday. Right. Let's take a look. Ask the question again as we go through this. You'll see. B'shar kol adam my time asurin. Why is everyone else prohibited from taking a haircut? What's wrong with taking a haircut? It's not a major tircha. Well, at least today it's not. It's just the machine, right? Kiditanan, as it was started in the Mishnah, she mishmer van she maimad asurin lesaper lechabes b'chamish mitar pnei kavod Shabbos. Here's our answer. We're going to compare this to the Anshe Mishmar and Anshe Maimad. The Kayanim and the Yisraelim that represent the Jewish people at the sacrifice, they were not allowed to take a haircut or do laundry during that week. You know, they had rotations of, every 24 weeks. They had to show up again. During that week, they weren't allowed to take a haircut or do laundry. Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana, Amar Rabba Lazar. Rabba Bar Bar Chana says the name of Rabba Lazar, the Amira, Rabba Lazar ben Pedas. My timer. Why couldn't they take a haircut? They should look nice. The answer is we want them to look nice, and we want them to get their haircut before they show up. We don't want them to show up and say, "Oh, I've got a lot of free time over here. I'm going to take my haircut now." You know, you leave the house a wreck until Shabbos comes, and then Shabbos afternoon you have so much to do. You clean the house. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to clean the house already before Shabbos. So here they're going to say, I'll take my haircut during the Mishmar. No. During the Mishmar, you're not allowed to. You have to take the haircut beforehand. So the same thing is with Yom Tov. Someone's going to say, I have nothing to do, Chalamayid. I don't want to go to the park, so I'm going to take my haircut. So you say, no haircuts, Chalamayid. You have to do it beforehand. Shouldn't enter into the holiday when they look disgusting. So it's really not a prohibition of Cholamayid. It's really to get you to do it beforehand. Reb Zera is a question. Let's say someone did not come from overseas. He was not a Mitzayra, was not a Nazir, any of those. But he was extraordinarily busy. Erev HaRegel. Why? Because he lost something. He lost an Aveda. Even the honest, it's not his fault, so it's mutter. He should be allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid. Or not everyone knows what he was busy with. Every person Friday night or Yom Tov night shows up to shul exhausted. Right? And each one thinks that, oh my gosh, today was the busiest day. Okay, so does everyone know really that the reason why he couldn't take a haircut was because he lost his car keys or something? He lost his wallet. So people don't know that. They're just going to think that he's taking a haircut. If someone was let out of prison, so that has a rumor that goes along with it. So Amar Abaya, the Gemara has a question here. This is Reb Zera's question. Amar Abaya says, definitely not. We cannot allow such a person. Why? Because this is a Gemara expression for saying that we should not make exceptions because people won't understand them. There was a rule that you weren't allowed to make faces or pictures. You weren't allowed to make pictures on the dough, on the matzah dough, because you may take too long. They would have like these little instruments that they would put in. Today they have a printer, but those days they would have like a little poke things that to make holes in the dough. They would make it into a picture. I said, you can't do that because it may delay the baking of the matzah and it will become chametz. So this fellow by the name of Baitus came out with a type of stamp that you put the whole picture in with one stamp. So this doesn't take a long time. But the sages said we're not going to allow that because people won't be able to differentiate. They'll say srike Baitus, it means like a comb. It means a lot of pins coming out. Srike Baitus mutarim, but everything else is usher. People will think that they won't be able to differentiate. It's too close. This is a statement that means no exceptions. So too, we can't make exceptions for someone that lost an item on Erev Yom Tov. People won't be able to differentiate. So no exceptions. That's Abaya's pshat. Abaya's ulataimech. According to you, Hadam Rabasi. This Rabasi said, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, the name of Rabbi Yochanan. There's a question on Abaya. I don't have who's asking it. Amar Abaya. Who does Abaya saying it to? So who's responding over here? Abaya is talking to Reb Zera, maybe. Yeah, maybe he's talking directly to Reb Zera. Could be. Reb Zera is a friend of Rabbi.
Yeah, that's what I have. That Abai is answering Reb Zera, then Reb Zera is the Temech of Reb Zera saying to Abai.
Yeah, it makes sense. Reb Zera is older, but he's a friend of his teacher. So Reb Zera responds, according to you that you want to be so strict because you want no exceptions. Rabasi says name of Rabbi Yochanan that if someone only has one shirt, he's allowed to do laundry. This is a very common shaila. I'm out of clothes. Can I do laundry? So the rule is yes. No. We're not saying that. Here we're doing this. We just came up with this rule that kol asurik and asurim, all combs are aser, and therefore there should be no exceptions. That's a bias rule. The problem is, Reb Zera responds to him. He says, we do have exceptions. We have someone, when it comes to laundry, we have exceptions. That if someone only has one shirt, even though he didn't come out of prison, but he only has one shirt, he's allowed to do laundry. Why? He's an exception. If you're going to tell me if you're going to pull that card, the no exception card, so it's not true. We see that there are exceptions. The Gemara says, according to you, you should say the same thing, that there should be no exceptions. So Abaya responds that we have a special reason for. Amar Mar Baravashi. I don't know how he quotes Mar Baravashi. Several generations later, but he quotes the statement that Mar Baravashi says, his belt proves. Yeah, he would have to take his belt and put it around his coat. When he would wash his clothes, he'd have to wear his coat while his kapata, while he washed his underclothes, but he put his gartel on. Or his belt around his, so it was clear that he was doing laundry because he didn't have other clothes. Everyone could see what was going on. It's fine. Baitus? It was used for making pictures on matzah.
That was what you said was for me.
Yeah.
It's an issue throughout. What is that an issue?
No.
Who's making
matzah? It doesn't have to do with chol. It has to do with on Pesach, you're not allowed to delay the baking of the matzah. You have 18 minutes, right?
No, I got that.
So if it's an expression that's used to say no exceptions. Because over there you have a perfect exception. You have one roll of this srike baitas, and you have the whole picture. that should be an exception, but the Gemara says, no, we can't make exceptions. Okay, Ravashi had a different version to Reb Zera's question. His question went like this. By Reb Zera's question was the following, just one word difference. Uman shavdalei aveda erev haregel mao. A craftsman who's in the marketplace and he loses something. Kivan de umanhu muchacha milsa. Since he's a uman, everyone knows, everyone's coming to him. Can you fix my thing? Can you this polish my whatever? And it's like, I can't, I'm busy. I can't find my wallet. So the whole town knows already that he's too busy because they were all in his store and he couldn't do any work because he was busy. So maybe over there it's mucha milsa. Or maybe it's not the same mucha milsa. It's not compelling. It's not apparent to everyone. So the Gemara, with that question, the Gemara says teku. We don't have an answer. Maybe it's a question that teku's on both. Yeah, we didn't have an answer for anything. Well, the teku would go on everything.
So, approvingly.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same Baitas. This is a baker that developed a stencil. Yeah. Morning. Thank you.
It's funny in English, it says here, the Gemara is inquiring whether all the townspeople, when they cut their hair during Chagmoy, when the town's only barber was unavoidably unavailable on Erev Yom Tov.
I didn't learn it like that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying in English. It's interesting.
I didn't learn it like that. Dr. Stein is telling me another pshat. Whose pshat is that? That wasn't the pshat that I understood. The Meiri. I learned just what this Rabbeinu Gershon has on the side, that in the Rashi, that he lost something, and everyone sees because he was a Numan. Dr. Stein is telling me a pshat from the Meiri that the Uman that lost the Aveda was the barber. And the Gemara's question here was the entire town allowed to take a haircut because the barber was too busy. And everyone knows that the barber was busy. Now can the rest of the town take a haircut? It's an interesting way of learning the Gemara. Okay. It's a good shot.
So it's a two-way point, or can we still fix the eighth day? Are we concerned about the second day's answer? What are we concerned about?
We're concerned about allowing this to happen on a regular basis.
Why would he say you're allowed to get
Oh.
a haircut?
No. The reason why you're allowed to get a haircut is because there's nothing wrong with getting a haircut. There's no tircha, it's nothing. You just cut the hair. So you take a scissors and you cut it. But so you still have the second days. You still have the next part of Yom Tov. Okay.
To support what Dr. Stein is saying, it could be that's specifically why it says "B'mit pachot saparim." It brings up specifically "B'mit pachot saparim" for the
Right.
for the washing.
The laundry.
We never hear him speak about "B'mit pachot saparim."
Yeah. It says that the Mishnah actually mentioned the towel or the cloth that was used by the barber. It just says that, according to your pshat, that we're dealing with the barber, the Meiri's pshat. He's quoting from the Meiri. Yeah. So the Meiri was a lost sefer, that it was discovered in the last 100 years, I think. 100 years ago, yeah, they got it from the Vatican. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's very creative shatim and very story-like, natural. Okay. Medina Sayyam, someone that came from overseas. So Avram Nassan mentioned something like this before. Gemara says, Masnisin like Rabbi Yehuda. Our Mishnah doesn't fit with Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya was taught in a brayso, Rabbi Yehuda, Imer Habam Medina Sayyam, someone that comes from overseas. Lo yigaleach. cannot take a haircut because he left without permission. Now, the way the commentary says over here means it wasn't someone else's permission that let him go. See, in our Mishnah, someone was allowed to leave prison. Someone was allowed to come out of captivity. So he was yatsa b'rshus acherim, yatsa with someone else's permission. Here, someone that goes Medina Sayam, someone that took a trip. So who told him to take the trip? He took a trip. He comes back whenever he wants. He shows up like right away, Erev Yom Tif, and then he says, I'll take my haircut later. How far is Medina Sayam? Came from over the bridge. Miami Beach. So Amar Rava, so the Gemara says our Mishnah is not like Reb Yehuda. Amar Rava, Lashut Divrei Kolaser. Why did he travel? If he went, Lashut sounds like he went like touring or something. What does it mean? Like to stroll. So if he just went, how do they translate Lashut? Do they translate that somewhere over there? So it's like sightseeing or something. To Rome. Not he went to Rome, but he went to Rome with a A. I don't know. Oh, maybe that's maybe to sail. He went sailing. So Divrei Kolaser. Everyone says that would be forbidden. But if he went because he needed food and he went on a business trip, everyone say that it's permissible. The whole machlekes Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim here is if he went to make money, not because he needed food, but he heard a business opportunity. So one says, well, who needs that extra money? You're just going to Rome. You're going to sail. One says, no, extra money is going to turn into food, my savings. So it's considered food and it's going to be mutter when he comes back. Meisvei, the Gemara is a question. Amar Rabbi Nirin de Rabbi Yehuda kashiyatzer shlei b'shas v'derecham kashiyatzer b'shas. What the Gemara is doing here, it does often. It quotes Rebbe by paskening like each of these. There's a machlekes. Someone goes on a business trip. Is he allowed to take a haircut when he returns on Chol Hamoed? Because he came back so close to Yom Tov, or maybe he returned on Chol Hamoed. He wasn't able to take a haircut beforehand. He didn't have any chance to take a haircut. The problem is that who told him to go? So there's machlekes Rebbe and the Chachamim regarding harvacha, a business, if it's a business trip. If he needed the money, then everyone holds. If he needed it for food, then everyone holds that you'd be allowed to. If he went just for leisure, so everyone holds you're not allowed to. Machlekes is only if it's for business. Now Rebbe comes along and says, machlekes is a nice machlekes. You have Rabbi Yehuda that's strict, you have the Chachamim that are lenient, and I'm going to paskin like Rabbi Yehuda when he left without permission, and I'm going to pass like the Chacham when he had permission. Now the Gemara says, 1 second. My shlei b'shus, what are you talking about? When Rebbe says he's passing like one and not the other, that means that there's machlekes. Now, what are you talking about? Ilay malashut. What do you mean without permission? It wasn't going for leisure. Amar divrei kolaser. What do you mean you're passing like Rabbi Yehuda that it's aser? Everyone holds it's aser. Ella lemezainas must mean that you went for food because you needed the parnasa. Amar divrei kol mutter. But then everyone says that it's permissible. What are you talking about? There's no machlekes. You're passing like, but there's no one says. Ela pshita larvacha must mean that what you meant was you went on a business trip just for added for profit.
I'm stuck on the whole idea of leaving without permission.
So we explain without permission from others. You see, in the Mishnah, you were allowed to take a haircut if others allowed you to leave, like you were in prison, or so if you had permission from others to leave, that's why you ended up here, then fine. But if all of this is your own doing, we're calling that without permission. So we're saying that it must be that Rebbe is passing like Rabbi Yehuda when it came to the business trip. Ema Seifa, but now let's read the second part of what Rebbe said. If he left with permission, then Rebbe wants to paskin like the Chachamim. My Bershus. So what do you mean with permission? If it's because he needed food, you said that it's everyone holds that it's permitted. You pass like the Chachamim, there's no machlekes. Skip the other option because it was obvious. Can't be that it was just lushat, because that way everyone would hold us. It must be that it went for business, and now he's passing like the Chachamim. It's diukim seisrim. It comes out that he's basically, if it's not diukim seisrim, he's passing like both in the same case. You can't do that. You can't paskin like Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim in the same case. If both cases are the business trip, you can't paskin like both. You have to choose which one do you accept. The Gemara says no. When we said over here Nirin, we didn't mean that he was paskining. Nirin, what Rebbe was actually doing was he was explaining the machlekes. Nirin hachikamer. This is what he meant. Nirin de Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanan kishiyatzu shlei b'shus. I'll accept Rabbi Yehuda's explanation when he left without permission. My Neo, what does that mean? Lashat. When he went for leisure. Because even the sages only argued with him when it came to making profit. I'm not saying that I'm paskening like that because there's no machlekes there. I'm just saying that I am accepting the logic. And I'm going to accept the Rabbanan's view, which means the Rabbanan's logic, when he left with permission. When he left for food. Why? But when it comes to food, they agree that that's permissible. So it wasn't Rebbe saying a psak. Okay. Where does that leave us? That we have another view over here of Rabbi Yehuda. And that is when it comes to making profit, is that considered the same thing? Someone comes back from a business trip. Amar Shmuel, new case. Kattan Daf b'mayed, mutal galeach b'mayed. Very interesting. This is there goes the upsharnish. Based on this Gemara, child is born. Oh, it's a girl. Would have said katana. The child that's born on Chalamayid or on Yom Tov, the first chance that you have to give this child a haircut would be Chalamayid. Comes out totally full of hair, like full term. Comes out, has the hair and nails. No. Dr. Stein is telling us about if the baby is born with black hair, then the mother had heartburn. So
it's not medically.
It's not medically. Okay. So they're going to give the baby a haircut. Why? There's no greater prison than being in the womb. There was no barber in there. There was an angel teaching Torah, but no barber. He's full of hair. Comes out looking like Esav.
Yeah, so yeah.
They want him to look cute. Oh, it bothers the baby. Getting in the baby's eyes. So, what are we learning over here? We're learning that this is another case of coming out of prison, that a person is allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid. But Moyedin, what we just learned was that on Cholamayid, yes, if the baby was born on Cholamayid. But Mikaralai, let's say the baby was born Erev Yom Tov. Well, you could have given him a haircut right when he came out. You didn't. You delayed. So we don't want people delaying haircuts because they're going to have more time on Cholamayid. So you're not allowed to give him a haircut.
This is not
an upsharnish. Yeah, we wait 3 years.
Right. Oh.
So for us, we would rewrite this Gemara, and we would say, according to the minhag, that if his upshinish falls out on Cholamayid, can you do the upshine on Cholamayid? Because he couldn't take the haircut before. So we wait 3 years. Okay. Massive for Pinchas. Pinchas has a question. I don't know what generation he is. We have a rule that says anyone that's allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid would also be allowed to take a haircut if it was during days of mourning. So in other words, the list that we had in the Mishnah, someone that comes out of prison and all of that, the Nazir, we allow them to take a haircut on Cholamayid. They would also be allowed to take a haircut during the days of mourning. Now, what we're being medayik is like this. But let's say it would be forbidden to take a haircut on Cholamayid. Then you wouldn't be allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid. I'm sorry. If it's also on Cholamayid, you wouldn't be allowed to take a haircut during the days of mourning. You follow? When would a baby not be allowed to take a haircut? If it was born Erev Yom Tov. So we're saying that if it's can't take a haircut on Cholamayid, but also the baby wouldn't be allowed to take a haircut during the days of Avelos. Can you imagine a baby being an avel? The Moed Kattan Daf over here, plukta means a difference, a chiluk, a distinction. If you say that a child does have this distinction, if he's born on Cholamayid or if he's born before Yom Tov, you're telling me that there's a child that has the laws of Avelos. But we have a brisa, mekarin lekatan pnei agmas nefesh. If a child is in that situation, you tear the child's clothing, like a novel tears his clothing, not because there's a halacha to tear the clothing, because there's no avelos for a cotton, ain't avelos lekatan. Why do you tear the clothing? Because we want other people to look at the child and feel sad and to cry. Could be the mother passed away, or or the father, but we have a rule. This is teaching me that ein avelos lekatan. So there should be no problem to give him a haircut anyway. You're telling me that there's one time that you can't give this baby a haircut on Cholamayid. Why? Because he was born an hour before Yom Tov. That would mean that you can't give him a haircut when he's an avel. But you just told me that ain't avelos lekatan. You just tear because of some side reason. Amar Ravashi says all of this is based on an assumption, and it's not true. The assumption was, if you look carefully, what Reb Pinchas quoted was anyone that's allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid is allowed to take a haircut on when he's an avel. We never said anyone that's not allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid is not allowed to take a haircut when he's. We just said that anyone that's allowed to is allowed to. All the exceptions apply to avelos as well. We never said that anyone that's forbidden also has those rules. That the Gemara made up. Never said that. Miktani ha'asurim, dilma yeshvem masur yeshvem mutter. It's very possible that people that are not allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid are allowed to take a haircut when they're an avel. So, which means the baby that's not allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid is allowed to take a haircut when the baby's an avel. Yeah, we never said that. A meimar, v'teimar Rav Shisha Breder Avidi masni hachi. A meimar, in some states Rav Shisha Breder Avidi, they taught the following. Amar Shmuel katan mutal galcha b'mayid. He said it exactly the opposite, or the way that the Gemara was questioning. A child is allowed to take a haircut, a baby, on Cholamayid. Leishna noiled b'mayid, leishna noiled mi'ikara. Whether he was born before, or whether he was born on Cholamayid or before Cholamayid or before Yom Tov, even though he had time before to take. It's fine. Amar Rav Pinchas says, Afananami Tanima. Oh, excellent. We have a Mishnah that supports that. What's the Mishnah? Anyone that's allowed to take a haircut, all the exceptions are on Cholamayid. Those exceptions for Cholamayid are also exceptions for Avelos. And he's medayik. But if you're not allowed to take a haircut before, then asur legalech me'avela. Then you're not allowed to take a haircut. If you're not allowed to take a haircut on Chol Hamoed, you're not allowed to take a haircut during Avelis. Now, Moed Kattan Daf, if you would tell me that there's sometimes a child is not allowed to take a haircut on Chol Hamoed, nimtzas Avelis nehagas bekatan, you're going to come out that a child has Avelis. Vitanya, we have a brisa that says that he doesn't. Mekaran lekatan tneag masnefesh. You only tear the child's clothes just so other people should mourn, but not for himself. That would mean that there's no such thing as Avelis for the child. If there's no such thing as Avelis for the child, then he can take a haircut. If he can take a haircut, that means he can take a haircut Chol Hamoed, always. Rav Ashi says it's not 100% accurate because miktani ha'asurin dilma yesh me'am aser v'yesh me'am mutar. You're making it look like it says that anyone that's not allowed to take a haircut on Chol Hamoed is not allowed to take a haircut when he's novel. It doesn't say that. It says anyone that's allowed to take a haircut on Chol Hamoed is allowed to take a haircut when he's novel. Still could be that a katan is allowed to take a haircut on Chol Hamoed, but he's not allowed to take. He's allowed to take a haircut on when he's a novel, but he's not allowed to take a haircut on Chol Hamoed. Doesn't say. Okay. In other words,
This
there's
whole discussion. I'll go ahead. I was going to say this whole discussion is like the minor is patrim and mitzvah, right? This is just on the parents.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a din of chinuch. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who has the mitzvah of chinuch, the child or the parents. I guess the parents have a mitzvah. Yeah.
What if the parents is dead and the other has a baby?
No, but is he obligated to train the child to perform that mitzvah of Avelis? Or is that not something that you do for chinuch? So the rule is ein Avelis l'katan. There's no mitzvah chinuch there. Yeah. Yeah. The Ikar Avelis is believed, right? The Ikar Avelis is the morning, what you feel, and it's expressed in external activities. But the child doesn't have those inner feelings, so, or at least not developed.
It seems here also like the burden, the tircha is on the parents that have to cut the child's hair too, and like in the Chol Hamoed, right, wasting their time doing this.
It's not a tircha to cut the child's hair. Only when he's 3 years old and runs away from the barber seat. Little baby's fine. Yeah. Okay. Oval einanoig avelis beregel. The Gemara tells us a rule. There's no avelis on Yom Tov. So if someone was a mourner and it comes Yom Tov, avelis stops. Shenemar, samachta b'chagecha. Have a pasuk. You have to rejoice on your holiday. Avelis to mikara. If it's avelis that came from before Yom Tov, then in other words, he was in the middle of avelis when it comes Yom Tov. I have the congregation, the public, everyone has that mitzvah. It pushes off this person's private mitzvah of avelis.
Pushes off.
Yeah. In other words, it overrules his private avelis. We avelis tahashta, and avelis tahashta. If someone passed away on Yom Tov itself, so lo yasi asay diyachid v'dachi asay d'rabban. He already has. He's in the middle of fulfilling the public mitzvah, the community mitzvah of v'samachta b'chagecha. His little personal mitzvah is not going to come in and push off the big mitzvah of v'samachta b'chagecha. Faces points out that we are calling avelos an asay. That's not so clear that avelos is a din daraisa. We're saying it's a positive mitzvah. So Taisvus answers, he says, well, don't worry about it because simchas haregel is also not a daraisa. Only if you have shlamim, only if you have the karbanis, then there would be a daraisa. But just a regular rejoicing on the holiday is only derabanan. What do we say with wine? The wine is only a derabban. Okay, menuda mao shinag niduya beregel. What about someone that's in chayrim? Does this chayrim apply on Yom Tov? Maybe Yom Tov comes in, v'samachta b'chagecha, it all goes off. Amar Rav Yosef Tashema. So come and listen. He's going to bring a raya. It says, "Don in din nefashos, din makas, din mamanas." On Chol Hamoed, you're allowed to do court cases. What happens though if the fellow doesn't listen? V'ilay tayas dina. If he doesn't listen, mishamtinale, we're going to put him in chayrim. Aha. V'sal kadai techena nayig niduya beregel. Mishumas vasi mikara. Asi regel v'dachilei. If you're going to tell me that someone that was in mishumas, he was in shamta, he was in chayrim, he was in excommunication before the holiday comes along and allows him to come into shul and to join the community. Hashtem mishamtinale anan. Now you're going to go put someone new into chayrim because he didn't listen to the court case? Can't be. If it automatically absolves the chayrim, then how can you make a new chayrim? So it must be that someone that's in chayrim, someone that's in excommunication, it applies on the holiday as well. Amalei Abaya, so Abaya says, "V'dilma leyune bedina." How do you know that Mishnah that Rabbi Yosef quoted? Rabbi Yosef is the teacher of Abaya. How do you know that Mishnah that you quoted, it's a brisa, tesefta, that you're allowed to do court cases on Chol Hamoed means that you make the verdict? Maybe it just means you sit in judgment and you discuss it, you deliberate. If you don't say so, are you allowed to go and kill a person? Capital punishment on Yom Tov, or on Chol Hamoed rather. It's not going to be, it's a very interesting way of putting this. It's not going to be happy. You have to be happy on the holiday. And the Tanya, we have a brisa that says, Rabbi Kiva, the Sanhedrin that sees someone that murders, or maybe shaharglas and nefesh, maybe means that they killed someone. They're not allowed to eat. They're not allowed to have a meal on the day that they do a capital punishment. You're not allowed to eat over blood. So it has to be that we're not talking here what the proof is. The Sanhedrin has to have the wine and meat on the holiday. It can't be that they killed someone because they would have to be fasting. So it can't be that we have the judgment. So that's we're going to get to discuss. Yeah, they have to fast before they kill him. So it must mean that we're just we're deliberating on the case. That's what you're allowed to do, but you don't make a verdict. Amalei, the problem is Shema. Oh, yeah. Mishpat. Oh. I thought it had to do with, well, on Yom Tov itself, you had an issue of mishpat ksiv bei, or certain things it says mishpat, and you weren't allowed to do mishpat. Mishpat had to do with because of writing. Is that the? Very interesting.
We discussed it earlier.
I don't remember. Okay, so the Gemara has a pshat, it has a way of doing this. 1 second. First it says, you have another problem. If you know the verdict, you're not allowed to delay it because it's called ino yadin. It's perverting the judgment, but in a way of painting the person is waiting for his verdict. So the Gemara answers like this: Gemara is an interesting way of doing this. What they would do is like this: they would come in the morning, and they would figure out what they're going to paskin. Then they would go eat. They didn't paskin; they're allowed to eat. Then Shkias Achama would come, it would become nightfall. They'd paskin, and then they'd kill him. Why is it not Inei Adin to wait for Shkias Achama? I don't know. Maybe it works. Yeah, I don't know how the Inei Adin works. Okay, they found like this loophole, this way of getting around this, where they can eat. They paskin on the same day. It's sort of the same day because it's if the night follows the day, and then they kill him. So if that's the case, so really they could make a cherem as well. If they can kill him, they can make a cherem, right?
This is on Chol Moed
On
also.
Chol Moed,
Oh, wow.
they can make a cherem. If that's the case, they can make a cherem. Then the cherem applies on Chol Moed, on Yom Tov as well. Amar Abaya says 1 second. Tashema. One of the exceptions of taking a haircut was someone that wasn't cherem. So why is he now allowed to take a haircut? Because it became Yom Tov. Amar Rava says, "Miktani sheitiru chachamim, sheitiru loy chachamim katani." We knew this already. I read it quick. Shouldn't ask the question. It doesn't say that everyone's cherem goes off. It says this person's cherem went off. Sheitiru loy. They permitted him. Why? He went and there was a court case. Why? How did he end up at cherem? He decided not to listen to. So he goes to the other litigant and he pays what he needed to pay. Then he comes to the Beis Din and he says, "I paid it up," and so they take the cherem off. So they took the cherem off, and it was Yom Tov. He couldn't take a haircut. What about actually let's leave it right here by Mitzayra. Okay, let's go to Shachas. Okay, Yeshikayach everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.